Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Vortex, where lies and falsehoods are trapped and exposed. Michael Voris coming to you, obviously, from Washington, D.C. We're in town for our D.C. presser event on defunding the U.S. bishops, as well as other elements of the religious left. We have not yet had the press conference at the time of this recording, but we figured we'd come over here to the steps of SCOTUS, the Supreme Court of the United States, and point out something that's rather obvious about the intersection of politics and morality and theology and philosophy. It might seem a little heavy duty to be standing in front of the Supreme Court and talking about all that, but sometimes you lose track of these things in the last 6 or 7 years. Remember back to 2016 and the presidential election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. It's important to know here, Donald Trump won that election because of the distribution of 40,000 votes in 3 or 4 states. There was enough of a win in Pennsylvania, obviously, Michigan, Wisconsin, to tip the Electoral College vote in his favor. That resulted in 3 Supreme Court justices here, obviously Neil Gorsuch, and then the Brett Kavanaugh, brouhaha with all the false allegations of everything that went on with those hearings. And then, of course, the appointment of Amy Coney Barrett. That locked down at least a 5-4 conservative majority on the court, which more often than not, although not in all cases, goes to 6-3 when you add in John Roberts to the equation, Chief Justice John Roberts. In this last session, which just ended a few weeks ago, there were essentially 4 major victories for conservatives and people of faith. Had those 40,000 votes, the way they fell in those different states and those different precincts and counties, gone the other way or just not shown up at all, America would be done, because this would now be a 3-6 majority Marxist court, and that's over. So all of these various cases that have come before the court here in this last term that now have a ruling on them, some precedent has been set, some other precedent underscored and reinforced. But you've got to remember here, politics matters. We're just standing here stating the obvious, but sometimes the obvious needs to be restated. Politics absolutely matter. How you inform people about things absolutely matters. The reason we're here in town today and the last couple days of this week is to point out that the Democratic agenda is being pushed by the United States bishops and other members of the religious left using hundreds of millions, billions if you add it up over the last few years, of your tax dollars. And what did they hope to achieve? They had hoped to achieve the win by Hillary, at which point this republic would essentially be wiped out, be an end to it. These court rulings would have gone a different way. You'd have had a whole more group of people like Ketanji Brown, who's a woman who doesn't know what a woman is, doesn't know how to define one. It's a thread. You could call it sort of the Trump thread that the entire republic is hanging by right now. 40,000 votes out of the huge number of votes cast, over 150 million votes cast in that 2016 election, came down to 40,000 votes, which is an infinitesimal degree of a percentage, and produced this court, and then this court produced these rulings. If you don't think the politicking by the U.S. bishops is massively important to bring to an end to preserve the court, what you can, of some relative conservative majority, at least in the House, hopefully the Senate, to slow down this Marxist juggernaut, which, remember, the U.S. bishops are fully on board with. The USCCB is a political lobby. It has nothing to do with the church. It is not a church organization. The bishops created it and then put it under the protection, the IRS code protection, as though it's part of the church. It isn't part of the church. The USCCB has no teaching authority. It has no authority to impose anything. It's a political lobbying group that goes over there to Capitol Hill every single day and either tries to get certain bills passed, which will turn to their advantage when it comes to the Appropriations Committee funding for them, or they go straight to the Appropriations Committees, give testimony, talk to members of the Congress who are on the Appropriations Committee, and get money. That money which nobody knows how they spend because they're not required to tell us how they spend your tax dollars, then gets used to promote climate change and the climate paranoia and the illegal immigration and the gun control issue and all of this business. This is how your money's being spent. Remember, it was just 40,000 votes. That was it. Or this court is completely flipped around and the republic would be at an end. That's how important politics is, and that's why we're here in Washington, D.C. Reporting from the steps of the Supreme Court in the heart of the most, at least materially, powerful city on the face of the earth, Michael Voris from Church Militant. God love you.